Hello, I'm Gregory Sale. I'm from Arizona, a political flashpoint for gun rights, incarceration, and immigration issues. Chain gangs, pink underwear, a tent city jail, and mugshot competitions are commonplace. I'm going to talk about It's Not Just Black and White, a residency exhibition staged primarily at ASU Art Museum in 2011. The project began with a collaboration with 14 inmates enrolled in the one very small rehabilitation and reentry program offered by the local sheriff's office. We created a museum installation featuring black and white striped walls that mimic the visual imagery of the standard issue inmate uniform. The three striped walls became a defining backdrop for 3 months of programs. A fourth wall of the installation invited all who visited to write, draw, or record their thoughts about what needs to change in the current system. The project explored and exposed the many often conflicting viewpoints, perspectives, and values that emerge from thoughtful considerations of justice and public safety. We're going to hear a few sounds from that first day of painting. Establishing a virtual connection between jail and the museum helped frame the project on aesthetic and emotional levels. Choreographer Elizabeth Johnson and I conceptualized the mother-daughter distance dance. Daughters performed at the museum for and with their incarcerated mothers while their mothers danced at jail. This idea of mothers and daughters dancing together but apart suggests a core issue that I'm exploring in my projects: the real and too little discussed impact of our incarceration system on all of us as individuals and as a community.
I love you.
Can you not see us? We're dancing.
To infuse the project with direct experience, curator John Spiak and I offered tours of Tent City Jail every 2 weeks. Just as we brought people, guns, and certain mechanisms of incarceration into the museum, we physically transported museum visitors to jail. These artistic gestures and direct experiences provided a framework for a 52-event program. There were 37 institutional partners and close to 20,000 visitors. We created something akin to a demilitarized zone. The museum served as a site for civic dialogue in a community that has almost none. Here's an exchange I had with Sheriff Joe Arpaio.
By the way, you mentioned a chain gang.
Right.
Well, I have to admit that everybody says I revisited the chain gang. Not here, we never had. But there is one chain gang I'm very proud of. So we have the only female chain gang in history.
Well, let me tell you, that's actually one of the places this project began. I was walking to City Hall in Phoenix one day about 6 years ago, and there was a chain gang of women repainting that red curve, that no parking curve around City Hall. And they had the officer with them with his shotgun, and he had his legs spread, and it was like, where it's supposed to be in a good 1940s movie. And the women were repainting, and I thought, wow, that's an image for the media. Also participating in the dialogue were the chief probation officer, the deputy director of the public defender's office, a former convict and director of a coalition of reentry organizations, a victim's mother, a police officer, and a journalist scholar. As a philosophical counterbalance to Sheriff Joe, I worked with the Humanities Project to co-host activist scholar Angela Davis. She posited that the very future of democracy depends on our ability to develop radical practices to create a world beyond the prison-industrial complex. Nearing the end of the project, the Arizona Department of Juvenile Corrections granted temporary escorted furloughs for 15 incarcerated youth. For a full day once a week for 3 weeks, these juvies attended university classes and programs across campus, interfacing with students and faculty. On their final visit, we worked together to archive and then tear down that fourth wall. To close the project, 5 collaborators who helped paint the original stripes when they were inmates returned as free men to paint out that emblematic image.